folks. Mini bike update, even though nothing has changed, but I feel like making a video on the stupid mini bikes anyway because I haven't messed with these in a while. This stupid one keeps leaking for some reason. I don't even know where it's coming from. Probably got a bad engine on this one because I put the same motor on this bike and it's been flawless. But this one just keeps leaking. Leaking everywhere right here, folks. Oh, yeah, that's this mini bike for the time being. I'm not sure if I want to sell this one or not. Like, I feel like I'm either gonna sell it or put a torque converter on it. And a torque converter basically replaces this thing right here because this is the jack shaft and this is what gives it that torque. But with a torque converter, you know, it's kind of self-explanatory due to the name. You know, it gives it even more torque because like these clutches have a history of burning out easily, especially if you go up a ton of hills and you put a lot of strain on it, the clutch burns out. Not to mention with a standard jack shaft like this on here, it gives it a lot more torque, but at the same time, it just makes the bike slow. Like it takes off so much of the top speed. And with a torque converter, not only does it give it even more torque, like it's ridiculous how much torque it gives you, but it also increases the top speed. Like right now, this thing tops out at like maybe 20 miles an hour if you're lucky. But with a torque converter, it would make it almost twice as powerful, but it would also almost double the speed. So if I put if I took this stupid thing off, I put a torque converter on it, instead of topping out at 20, it would probably top out at like maybe 35, 36 or something like that. It would be the perfect speed. It'd be amazing. It's just that one little piece that basically goes over this engine right here, this whole entire plate that's holding this clutch right here and the chain on here. This whole entire plate comes off and then the torque converter goes on, which it looks kind of similar to this in a way, but it's usually silver. And it has a big round piece right here and a big round piece right here. And there's a belt that goes around here. It's a belt driven thing instead of a chain drive. It's a belt drive, which is kind of weird. You'd think a chain would be stronger, but whatever. But the reason why a torque converter increases the top speed so much more compared to a jack shaft is because on the front, like let's say the torque converter was here on this front right here, when you increase the RPMs, you can see that the belt and the piece up here kind of move side to side like this. It slowly moves side to side because basically it'll start right here and then as the RPMs go up, it slowly moves over here. So basically that's how it increases its top speed because it's adjustable. It converts the torque. I mean, that's why it's called a torque converter, damn it. So it can start off with tons of extra kick, and then if you continue going and you keep making those RPMs go, you make those RPMs go up, and you keep going and going, the belt and the front piece will just start moving over here more, and it'll convert it, and it'll continue being able to output more velocity, thus increasing your overall top speed. Like with a torque converter, popping wheelies on this thing would be really easy. Like you can sort of pop wheelies on this thing with just a regular old jack shaft on here, but it's kind of a pain in the ass, especially because this bike is so heavy. This is the heaviest mini bike I've ever had. I've had probably like 7 or 8 mini bikes already. This is definitely the heaviest mini bike. This almost feels like a fucking motorcycle. It's ridiculous. So with this thing, this is probably the most difficult bike to do wheelies on, but if you put a torque converter on this thing, you'll be able to pop wheelies on this thing no problem. This bike right here is still completely stock. All I really did was I took off a couple things, like obviously the chain cover on the back because that was kind of useless. I'm always having to oil and adjust the chain, and the stupid chain guard just kind of gets in the way. I was thinking of taking the clutch cover right here off because you know, again, it just gets in the way because I keep having to oil the chain and lube the clutch and all that crap and make sure that the bolt and everything is tightened. And it just, you know, having to take this stupid cover off, it's just more bolts and more crap to take off, and it's time consuming. But the only thing is, you know, I kind of want to have this on here so it doesn't keep rubbing against my ankle. Sooner or later, I'll probably wind up taking that stupid cover off anyway. But other than that, I took the muffler cover off this thing, and I took that stupid emissions piece off the muffler because it was useless. And basically it just made it a little bit louder, not really super big. It was very little, but it did make this bike a tiny bit louder. It is noticeable, but it's not really that big of a difference. And then here's this one, my pride and joy. This is the bike that I'm always taking on all of my group rides because this has the best combination of power and speed because it has the same 212 motor that bike has. But I geared this one differently. So I put a 12 tooth on the front and a 60 tooth on the rear. So this can get me just the top speed that I need to be able to keep up with other people. They keep telling me to put a damn stage 1 kit on this engine and to remove the governor and all that bullshit, because that's what pretty much everyone in the mini bike group does. They're always putting the damn stage kits on and removing the governor. And it's like, I don't feel like doing that. Like, first off, when you start investing in all of these custom motor modifications, it gets really expensive, it gets more complicated. You have to dig into the motor to take the stupid governor out. And yeah, I'm aware that it's just a stupid little plastic gearing thing that limits the maximum RPM on the motor. But still, I don't feel like having to take the whole motor apart and modify it and put all these performance modifications on here. It's just annoying. Not to mention, I like the motor the way it is right now. Like, sure, with these performance mods, I can obviously get twice the RPM on this thing, twice the speed, twice the power. I can really make this thing truly rip, take full advantage of what this motor can do. But I just don't feel like it. Not to mention, like, the biggest thing I can't stand about it is the performance mods makes all of the crap stick out of the frame. Like, if you can see right here, this is the muffler. It's flush right into the frame. So if I drop the bike, I don't have to worry about it breaking anything off because everything is tucked neatly into the frame. But with these performance mods, you know, it would be a straight pipe that goes out here and all the way out here. I mean, you can get a pipe that goes through here and out the under, you know, basically in the middle, and then just goes out the back like that. That's the kind that I would like to get. But then obviously, if I I'm not going to have a straight pipe. I would get a muffler to put on the end of it. But then it's like, if I get a trumpet pipe, that's one of the few pipes I can find that goes out the center and doesn't go out the side. Like, you'd have to custom weld the damn muffler on. And then another problem is, here is the air filter. Again, pretty much almost flush with the frame. It sticks out a tiny bit, but it's covered. So if I drop it, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna break on the motor at all. But with the performance mod, the stage 1 kit, the aftermarket filter goes all the way out to here. So if you drop the bike, that's the first thing that's gonna break off. And I crash this thing a lot. I'm always dropping it. I'm a dumbass. That's why I don't feel like a stage 1 kit would be ideal for someone like me, because I'd be constantly having to buy new air filters and new pipes for this stupid thing. Not to mention, the air filter sticking out that far. I've had a mini bike that had a performance kit on it before, and I kept smacking my leg on the damn air filter because it keeps sticking all the way out. It's annoying. So yeah, for the most part, honestly, I like my mini bike the way it is. There's only one more part that I haven't put on it yet because I've just been too tired and too busy and I just don't feel like it. Not to mention, like, it's gonna require more like custom framework. I'm gonna have to drill another damn hole in the frame, and I already had to drill a hole in the frame to put this custom chain tensioner on, because with this smaller sprocket, obviously I had to adjust the chain. And then right here, this is where, this section right here is where the stock tensioner was supposed to go. But obviously it's gonna be useless because this sprocket is way smaller. So the tensioner isn't gonna be able to push the chain up and keep it properly. You know, it's not gonna be able to tighten it properly. So I had to drill a hole in the frame right here so I could put the tensioner up higher so it would keep the chain tightened enough. And I just had to get a whole new tensioner altogether, and I had to extend it a little bit further out here. And I feel like right now this is like the sweet spot. It works perfectly for the time being. The chain is kind of tight, but that's because I put a brand new chain on this thing, and there's no master link. It's just complete chain. It's one chain. So I figured I would make it really tight because the chain is going to stretch, obviously. So, you know, if it gets to that point, I would rather not have to take a master link out. I'd rather just make the chain really tight and then have it stretch out since it's brand new. And then, you know, put some new street tires on it too, if you haven't already noticed, because these tires are obviously not stock. These are aftermarket street tires. You know, I mean, you could take this is off-road and street tires. You could use it either way, but these, honestly, from, you know, I've tested this out a couple times, and these tires are way better for the street. Like, it's just a lot smoother. It feels better. These just feel like better quality tires compared to the original that came with these. Because these are the stock tires. These are practically the same exact tires that's on this bike. So that's what the stock tires look like. And these are pretty much almost, these are mainly off-road tires. Like, they work, obviously they're good. You know, I've never had a problem with them. But I use these little mini bikes primarily for on the street, even though it's like they're obviously illegal. But you gotta just stick to private areas and dead roads and avoid the damn cops, and I've never had any real problems. But yeah, these hybrid tires, which are, you know, I'm just gonna say they're street tires, even though they're hybrid tires, but I use these for the street, and they're awesome. They're only $26, so it's pretty good. These tires are pretty good. I like them. So I'm definitely gonna keep getting these tires from now on whenever I burn them out. And then with this thing, I finally adjusted the brake because the brake pretty much wasn't working at all. It kept loosening all the time. I can't adjust this thing anymore because the last time I crashed this stupid thing, this got all bent up, and now I can't adjust this in and outward anymore. So I just kept it in here, and I had to adjust the brake right here. I basically just had to grab the brake cable, loosen the caliper, and just adjust it manually that way. And finally got the brake right where I want it. Oh, why do I even still have this stupid thing on here? Oh. Well, I'm gonna put this on here if I'm actually intending on using it. And I very rarely actually use this thing. Not to mention, like, I've already lost my smartphone in the middle of the street once while riding these damn bikes around. Not sure if I want to risk it again anytime soon. Alrighty. Folks. Oh. That was easy. Still got this little brake lock on it. Yeah, this is just some cheap phone holder I found at Walmart. I don't really even use it that much. So I don't even know where to put this stupid thing. Let's put it like right there, I guess. This workshop, this little workbench thingy that I have is it's getting way too cluttered in here. So yeah, and here is me and my dad's first Corvette. Well, we shared this back in the day, and this is the Corvette that started it all. If you haven't really noticed, like my name, Nick's Vet, it's because I actually had a Corvette, 69 Stingray, black of course, because I'm obsessed with the color black. This is another picture of it back in Ventura. Kind of dusty. But yeah, fucking loved that car. Like, we had that car back when I was like an infant. And then over time we had to sell it because of, you know why, bills. Go figure. We had to pay the damn bills. Otherwise I would still have this car to this day. Like, this was such a sexy car. But that's basically where my name came from, Nick's Vet. But it's like, if you call it literally my name, Nick's Vet, it just sounds stupid. So I kind of put it Nixvet. It just sounded better and more original. So that's pretty much the origin of where I got my name, because me and my dad had a Corvette 69 Stingray back in the day. And we ended up having to sell it. 69. Oh, that was like the perfect number too. If I could ever get that car back, I would. Yeah. Anyway, back on the topic. This entire brake section right here, this is the only thing that I have on my to-do list to get installed on this bike. But like I said, I would have had this done a long time ago, but I got a custom brake for this bike that's actually made for a quad, but it's a lot more powerful and it's just a much better brake. So that being said, like, it's the same, the handle is the same size, everything fits right here just fine. But since it's made for a quad, obviously I have to do some custom framework and drill another hole in the damn frame, and you know, I basically have to get it aligned properly, and it's just going to be annoying, and I don't feel like doing it right now. The brake that I have is in this box. I ordered it on Amazon. It was like $30, or I think it was like $26 or $27, whatever. Got it on Amazon. It's still in this box. And like I said, I haven't even taken it out yet because I don't feel like it. Obviously, whenever I get around to doing that, I'll make a video on that and showing how the brake performs, because I'm expecting it to be much more powerful than this crappy stock brake. I'm about to completely wear out the disc, you know, the pads on this bike. I'm surprised there's even any pad left on the brakes on this thing, because like every time I go out on this bike, and I'm always going really fast because this thing's modified. It's heavier than usual. I'm using the brakes like crazy. And, you know, last time I touched the brake disc right here, and it was literally burning hot. So like, I'm not expecting, there's probably not a whole lot left of the brake pads on this thing. I'm surprised it still even works. So maybe whenever I wear out the brakes completely, that's when I will finally install this stupid thing and see how this works. Just got it sitting there as my little backup for whenever I wear out the brakes on this thing. Yeah, that's my main mini bike right there. And these two, honestly, are just for shits and giggles. Like, I got that other little mini bike over there. it was mostly like a spur of the moment thing when Nathan was visiting and he was using this one, and I was using this one, and this one was way too slow. So I just wanted something, obviously, that could keep up with this one easier. So that little bike right there can top out at like 30 miles an hour, completely stock, which is pretty good, even though the governor on that thing kicks in way too much. So like when you give it full throttle, after like a few seconds, it kind of just, the gas kind of cuts off for a couple seconds and then it comes back and then it cuts off again. So as far as maintaining a stable speed, this thing goes maybe 25, 24 or something like that. I don't really like it that much. I wanted to put a 212 motor on that bike, but it's like, I gotta drill holes in the frame again and readjust everything, cut the chain. Oh, yeah. I like that bike the way it is. I don't want to mess with it. This bike is like the one that I don't mind customizing completely. So I've done most of the modifications to this one because I've already done so much to this bike, so I don't really care. Yeah. Well, so yeah, so basically this is my main custom bike that I go on group rides with. This bike is pretty much strictly off-road because it's super slow, but it has the most torque because of the jack shaft right there. So this is my off-road bike, and this is just, I guess I use this one right here for like combination of on and off-road because it has a good amount of torque. It's all stock. It still has, it's still pretty fast for being stock. I mean, obviously I had to cut the stupid throttle screw off so I could give it full throttle. Otherwise it only tops out at 24, but if I cut the throttle screw out, which I did, it tops out at like around 31, 32. So that's pretty nice. So this one is like a hybrid bike. I use it on and off-road, and I guess I also use it as a guest bike. If someone wants to come over and ride mini bikes, then they'll probably take this one if they want to keep up with me on this one anyway. Or they can just take this one. I mean, it really depends on what we plan on doing. Like if I'm going off-road, then I would take this one and that one. But if I'm just going to be doing a lot of street racing, just being on the street the majority of the time, then I would take this one and that one. But anyway, this video is way longer than I want it to be. I just want it to be like 10 minutes, but you know how I am. I'm always blabbering on and making videos longer than expected. So stay tuned for more videos. See you, folks.